Hello, welcome to Wrestling Made Me Cry. We went live and I just realized that I completely forgot to put our little banners up. So give me 1 second.
Yeah, 5 seconds.
They are. But yeah, I'm Kiley. This is Collins. This is Wrestling Made Me Cry, a show
Look at
about
this new thumbnail. Ooh.
Yeah, this morning I was making the thumbnail and I was like, oh, it's week 9. Like it's episode 9. That's 2 months. We deserve a refresh. So we got a new background. We got a new thumbnail layout. You guys will have to let me know what you think. But yeah, I think it's cute. I think we carried on a lot of the vibes of the OG. But I think now we're in like our teenager stage.
Ooh, I like that.
I'm just so super excited to talk about wrestling because all week me and Collins watch wrestling and we're just like, oh, I have so much to cry about. And then we just save it and save it and save it for you guys.
I mean, how many crying pictures did I send you this week?
So many. But you know what? I was crying too. So like it works out.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh my goodness.
It was quite the week in wrestling. AEW, WWE, New Japan last night. There was a lot going on. A lot of things I liked. I'll preface that.
Are you doing okay?
I am okay. It was my birthday this week. And
yeah,
I had a good birthday. It was a good time. And then I had a super busy week because it was like problem after problem. Like my driver's license expired and I had to go to renew it because I couldn't do it online. And then I went to Topgolf yesterday and now my hands are sore from golfing.
What is Topgolf?
So it's like, imagine like a 3-story building and you take off one of the outside walls and you put a giant golf thing with like targets and people stand in the building and hit golf balls. I have a picture. Hold on.
Yeah.
My dad asked me the same thing. And so I was like, so here's kind of what it looks like. So we were on the second floor. But it's just, and they have like games and stuff. Like they have like an Angry Birds game where you like hit the golf balls to knock down buildings, and they have competitive games and target practice and stuff. But we went Saturday morning, and what I didn't realize is that Saturday morning is when all the older people who have like professional golf clubs and they're like actual golfers go. And so we were getting like destroyed by these people. They were hitting the golf ball like 100 yards plus down the field. And I'm just sitting here getting my little chip shots into the closest targets. But you know what? I had fun. So that's okay.
I'm glad that you had fun.
Do they not have Topgolf?
So they have one in one of the towns that we were going to move to. So I always talk about transportation on this podcast. But I want to move to a place where I can like walk to a grocery store, right? That's my dream. If I have to rent, I have to rent. If I have to whatever, I got to figure it out. So one of the cities that I want to move to is just a little bit south of Seattle instead of being north of Seattle. And the apartment complex is basically across the street from a Target.
Okay.
And then on the next block is the Topgolf. And I have driven by there multiple times going, what is that?
It's a lot of fun. They have food and drinks, and they have other games too. Like they have pool tables and all kinds of stuff. So
they basically just want you to spend your money and hang out.
Yeah. And it's a fun time to get like some little shareable snacks with your friends. And like, if all your friends are bad at golf, then it's a good time because you're all bad together.
I love that because all of my friends are probably bad at golf.
But it's just not my sport. And that's okay. I'm not Tiger Woods and I never claimed to be.
Well, you're not wearing a red polo shirt, so.
No, I'm wearing my best friend's shirt.
Yeah?
In memory of.
I have the same one. I'm not wearing it today, though. Today we are not wearing.
The Trent versus Orange Cassidy match broke my heart. But Maria Graciela says, Happy Mother's Day. Yes, Happy Mother's Day to everybody, to all the moms, to everybody with a mom, without a mom. people who want to be moms, anybody peripherally related to motherhood.
To a mother. Yeah.
Yeah. Happy Mother's Day. It's just coincidence that we're live on Mother's Day. We just chose Sunday. And that's,
we actually chose today because wrestling is for moms.
Yeah. Right. Cheers. I'm not a mom. And I probably will never be a mom. But you know what? I appreciate all the moms out there. You guys work so hard. And all the moms in wrestling. All these moms who cart their toddlers around to like all these shows. Mad respect.
Renee
Paquette posts about their her daughter and how they take her like on the airplane to all these shows, to all these AEW shows, and she's like, I'm not a good judge of toddler behavior, but she seems like a really well-adjusted, well-behaved kid. So shout out to all the moms. I am not in a place to know anything about motherhood or parenting, but you know what? I still appreciate all the people who do. So
I think it's a hard job. I never want to compare it to being a dog owner because it is different. And I've been reminded multiple times it is different than it is different than being a human parent. I get it.
Yeah.
But also, this morning, both of my dogs, while I was cleaning up one pet mess, exercised their unit of solidarity. So,
and that's why we were a little bit late.
Sorry about that. Sorry about being late.
No, listen, that's just Mother's Day. That is like, that's just how Mother's Day rolls.
Happy Mother's Day. Here's some piss on your favorite carpet.
Happy Mother's Day. One time, I won't even say if it's a niece or a nephew, but one of my siblings has a child. And that child, when they were really, really little, and they were, potty training, used to do things like that. So it's true.
Piss on the carpet?
Or just like in random places. Like kids have to make the connection between like their body and the bathroom, and they don't necessarily do it that like some kids do it quickly and they make it, but some kids they take a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But let's talk about wrestling. Listen, Team AEW is finally coming to fruition.
Oh my gosh. So Wednesday night, I was shocked that they were like, it'll be Anarchy in the Arena, because we thought it was going to be Blood and Guts. So it's Anarchy in the Arena at Double or Nothing. It's going to be the Elite versus Kenny and whoever else he wants to join. And Kenny was like, fine, FTR. And then two other names that you'll hear about tonight. And it's like, oh, tonight.
Yeah.
So we're going to finish the show tonight with the two. Okay.
It was kind of a quick turnaround for this story to get it ready for Double or Nothing.
I mean, let's not forget that Double or Nothing is 2 weeks from today. I am hosting a pool party at my house because I have a shared community pool. So people are coming over, and then I'm going to trick them into watching wrestling.
Oh, you're recruiting for the Wrestling Made Me Cry audience.
Yeah. Come over for the pool. Stay for the wrestles. There better be violence.
It's going to be the Double or Nothing in general. I think the card is shaping up really nicely. But in terms of Anarchy in the Arena, there's so many things that I think could make this really chaotic. Because obviously, okay, so the two people who are joining FTR and Team AEW are Eddie Kingston and Bryan Danielson, who are two sickos who are going to, if you give them access to the arena, they're going to find the most insane places to
Absolutely.
So it's going to be unhinged and crazy and just the absolute craziest anarchy in the arena, I think. But I also think that this is probably not the end of the Elite versus Team AEW feud, because they're centering this on the fact that Team AEW is fighting for like the heart and soul of AEW. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that it concludes here. I'm wondering if maybe the Elite win here at Double or Nothing, and then we still get blood and guts, and we get like the long-term story. I hate the term long-term storytelling.
Long-term storytelling.
Because it's such a cliche now, but I wonder if that's what happened. I don't think the story like wraps up here, because I think there's so many different elements that could come into play still.
Yeah, because last year the Anarchy and Arena match was the BCC versus the Elite.
Yeah.
So we already have that that storytelling that could be with Danielson against the Elite.
Well, also Claudio, he was kind of, because Danielson and Claudio were in the BCC, and Claudio and Eddie still have that rivalry, even though Danielson and Eddie squashed their beef and they're, respectful friends now. And so now there's that tension between Claudio and Danielson. Yeah. That I think, because Danielson and Eddie didn't necessarily say like, oh, we're best friends, but in that backstage segment after their match, the handshake, it was very much an acknowledgement of like, you're good, I'm good, we could be good in our own separate lanes. And for Claudio, that's very much like not okay.
Absolutely.
He does not want to be associated with Eddie Kingston. So now you have the Elite story with Kenny and probably Ibushi, and probably later on down the line, Hangman, like all that stuff, that mess. And now in Team AEW, you have FTR, who they're not doing much of anything. And also Cash Wheeler is still in legal trouble. And then you have the BCC with Wheeler Yuta still having concussion problems, which is so super scary. And then,
as reported from Fightful Select.
Yeah.
So he's still dealing with them.
I love Fightful Select. I need to be more active in the Fightful Select Discord.
Yeah, if you are a part of the Fightful Select $5 tier, right? It starts at $5. I don't know. I pay for it, and I don't even know how much I pay every month. Anyways, you have access to the Discord, and there is a Wrestling Made Me Cry channel.
There is.
And people have been chatting about all the wrestling moments that make them cry, which is amazing.
Yeah, I have Discord notifications off because I'm in a few Discord things with my friends, and they are very chatty, and they send me, if I have notifications on.
Your friends are chatty?
Yeah, they really are. But anyway, Fightful Select Discord. I'll try to be more active, guys. Don't worry. But why was I talking about Fightful Select? Oh, because we're talking about Wheeler Yuta. Yeah. Oh, and then, okay, now that leads me to Eddie Kingston, who had all these titles. He's losing all these titles. Mm-hmm. And then last night on New Japan Resurgence, he gets attacked by the Elite. So it's blood feud time. And if anyone is going to sell me on this match, it's Eddie Kingston.
So I didn't watch Resurgence last night.
Mm-hmm.
I went outside and I did things, which was so weird. I know. But Twitter exists to give me the highlights. And why was this show not more advertised? I mean,
I don't know.
If you follow New Japan, like I heard about Windy City Riot, like everywhere. Yeah. So how come? Because Resurgence was in California, so I don't know. Why was it not more?
I don't know.
This card had on the pre-show, and Mustafa Ali versus Leo Rush.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me? And Mustafa Ali got a little bit heely at the end.
I love Ali.
Attacking people after the end of the match.
I love it.
But like everybody that you know was part of this show.
Yeah.
Jeff Cobb and Lance Archer. I have to go watch.
You would love this show. This show had like everything that you love in wrestling. No,
that I love.
Really did. And I think like New Japan just has a problem where like their US shows, maybe it's because of New Japan Strong. Like I don't know, but they just, if it's not a big Chicago show or like when they did Madison Square Garden or something like that, it just, people just assume that it's a nothing show. I don't know. Yeah. It's like super weird. But we are on the road to Forbidden Door. Speaking of Forbidden Door, did you see the Willow Nightingale Stardom announcement?
No. Why don't you breaking news?
So I think it was on Collision. It might have been on Rampage, but I think it was on Collision. AEW announced that Willow is going to be defending the TBS Championship at Flash and Champion, which is a Stardom show on May 18th. So in 6 days against Tam Nakano. So yeah, so Willow is taking the TBS title to Japan to defend it in Stardom, which is crazy. I'm so excited.
Okay, I have to watch that show. When is that show?
May 18th. I just
May 18th. Oh,
yes.
Yeah, you just said that. So that's next weekend.
Yeah, it's called Flashing Champions.
Okay, I'm gonna cry. I'm already crying.
I'm just so happy for Willow.
Proud of her.
Yes, it's crazy because Willow has always been a likable baby face, but she's never really, with the exception of the Mercedes thing when she won the New Japan Strong women's title when Mercedes got injured, she's never really gotten like the kind of international backing that like a star. But now she's TBS Championship and AEW is treating her like a star, and she's going to Stardom in a time where the AEW Stardom relationship is just kind of building, and she's representing AEW in Japan. And so like on the road to Forbidden Door, they probably have something really big planned for her. And I'm just so proud of her.
I'm so proud.
Willow.
I'm so proud. I'm sorry. Now I'm crying on stream.
No, it's okay. This is the one place where you probably should cry on stream.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, lots of non-AEW and WWE things does. And why don't we round the door? What is going on with TNA?
Hold on, let me pull up Josh Alexander's Twitter. Josh Alexander tweeted, because he tweeted something yesterday that I thought was hold on. No, where is it? Oh no. Okay, yeah, here it is. So TNA has, an Impact taping in Philadelphia in June, whatever. But Josh Alexander quote tweeted it with a gif of himself saying, "I need matches." Like, not matches like fire, but like, give me a match, give me something.
I like that you had to clarify for me because I take things so literally.
Well, I wanted to. People were making that joke. They were like, "Oh, Josh Alexander wants to start a fire," and it was like, no. But TNA is just.
Do you believe?
Do I believe in
Joe Hendry?
Is this is Joel Pearl
say
listening?
His name? And he appears?
Not. It's like Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Is it Beetlejuice?
I've had non-wrestling friends send me the video and they're like, "Who is this?" I'm like, "It's Joe Hendry." What do you mean?
It's something like, I love that wrestling fans can just be like, "What do you mean?" Like, it's like, and we all know the joke, but like nobody else does. So they see Joe Hendry like trending and on Twitter, on like all the charts and all that kind of stuff. And then we're just like, yeah, it's common sense. Like, obviously. And it's not common sense to anybody but wrestling fans. But TNA is doing some cool stuff right now. I really do think that TNA is, I hate to say that, like, I hate the phrase like the best they've been in a long time or like anything like that, because TNA has been pretty consistent. But I do think the TNA rebrands, like at the very beginning, they had some rockiness. Like they had some people leave. Scott D'Amore was let go. Like some rockiness, but I think they're kind of getting back on track. Like I really like. Sorry, my chest really wants me to cough. I really like Santana being in TNA.
Same.
Santana from Santana and Ortiz, who actually they went from Impact to AEW, and now Santana's back. And I think TNA has a good shot of really retaining a really, really strong like core roster.
Absolutely.
It's just they're kind of like in the same boat as New Japan, where people just assume that their shows are just not worth watching. Like New Japan, TNA could book a great match that in any other promotion, people would be like, that's a dream match. But in TNA, they're like, they just feel like it's not going to show out the way it would elsewhere. And I don't know why that is. But if you look at the last like few TNA pay-per-view cards, they've all been really stellar. And they kind of get this rap where like everything people just feel like it's B tier or C tier. But if you took any of these TNA cards, right, and you put them in AEW, for example, and it was an AEW show, a ton of people would watch it. So I don't know like why that is. And New Japan is kind of in the same boat. And I know people recently have been criticizing New Japan for, Jon Moxley being world champion, Eddie Kingston being so prominent, Jack Perry. They're saying that New Japan is becoming like a feeder for AEW, and I don't think that's true. But regardless, I think TNA and New Japan are both solid right now. And Eddie in the chat says TNA World Title scene needs work. I don't think it needs work. I think that they just have to they just need to really build strong, like not blood feuds, but like really, really, really strong stories that are centered on a title, but it's not just like, I just want to be champion because it's cool or something like that. And I think Santana being there helps. I think Mustafa Ali being there helps. And I think that they're really adding people in and getting the moving parts that they need. And so I think TNA is in a good spot. And I think the same about New Japan as well.
Absolutely.
I think people kind of, and I hate to say New Japan is an underdog because they're not. They only are to the Western audience.
Yeah, that's the thing that's unfortunate, is because everyone else knows, but
and
the
it's
US audience.
Japanese wrestling, and like the Western audience also looks like Joshi, and they just think it's Stardom, and they don't realize that the Joshi scene in Japan is just as like diverse and big as North American wrestling, like how we have so many promotions. And I don't think there's a solution to that. I think Western audiences just look at Japan and they pick what they like, and that's that. But I do think New Japan, in terms of its spread into the West, is at its best spot since the ROH Madison Square Garden show. And so I'm excited about that. And I think TNA is in a really solid spot where they're holding their own and they're not depending on bringing people in from AEW or, doing super controversial angles or bringing in controversial people or things like that. They're really like sort of, here are our young talent and growing them as we go. Like Maria in the chat says, TNA knows how to develop talent. They really do. So that's my little rant about TNA. I'm a lifelong TNA fan.
Same.
I've watched TNA for ages. I even watched the Dixie Carter era.
It's It's so funny. So I don't know if you're familiar with OSW, those boys over in Ireland. But if you haven't, for any of the viewers watching Old School Wrestling Podcast, they go through all old school podcasts. They did a whole TNA part of the Dixie Carter era. It was kind of more so Kurt Angle and Sting, things going on with them. Anyways, but they have some other pockets of other videos. And last night I was watching their lockdown. Okay. Have you ever thought about the worst experience watching a wrestling show? And just have every match be a cage match. So like the whole thing of lockdown was that for a brief period of time while Dusty Rhodes was on their creative, he was in an office with Dixie Carter without all those people, and he suggested as a joke, well, why don't we just make all matches on this pay-per-view a steel cage match? And Dixie Carter was like, that's a great idea.
Dixie Carter did a lot of things that are questionable, including putting herself in a prominent position on screen.
Sure. That's one part, yeah.
I have so many thoughts about the Dixie Carter era. And a lot of them are just not positive.
Yeah.
But listen, I still watched it and I supported. And I think I talked about this on Tag Talk, but until like 2 or 3 years ago, I didn't realize that Generation Me were the Young Bucks. I didn't make that connection, but somehow I remembered that when Okada was in TNA, and I knew that was the same Okada. But somehow the Young Bucks snuck past me, and I didn't make the connection until they talked about it in their when they used to do the little what do they call it, like Wrestlers on the Road ordering room service thing with Kenny, and they said we had our little stint in TNA. I was like, oh, they're the same, and I was really embarrassed by it, but it's okay.
Yeah,
we all have little things like that.
But the main event of the show that I watched, Lockdown at 2009, is Mick Foley versus Sting.
That's so Dixie Carter.
Yeah, that's a match that we wanted to see in the 90s. But in 2009,
Dixie Carter loved her nostalgia wrestlers, and she booked TNA like she was playing with a dollhouse. Like, that's how I like it.
But to be fair, like, if I had a plethora of money and a television deal, only the people I like would be on TV.
Yeah,
this is why I don't run a promotion. This is not for me.
I could never run a promotion. Yeah, I could never run a promotion because I'm just not good with money. And I would be a disaster. I would be Dixie Carter, but I think that like what I booked would be better than what Dixie Carter was doing. TBH.
Probably because you're a little bit more in tune with what is going to work. So
I thought this was really funny. Shadrick in the chat said the amount of sanitation after each match. I thought that was really funny. Yeah, like imagine keeping that clean.
Oh no.
The dark days Frantic World says the dark days of TNA was so rough to watch. Yeah. Hello to Greg Cherry, and also happy Mother's Day to you and all the moms in the chat, or all the people with their moms, all the people wanting to be moms, everything. I know that holidays like Mother's Day are hard for people for various reasons. So everybody is valid, but back to TNA. I'm just thinking about. So I used to have TNA toys, because I was a kid who watched TNA.
Right.
TNA was formed 2004. I believe. Yeah,
that sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And so I was there I was 6 years old, and I was there from the beginning solely because we got satellite TV.
2002.
2002. We got satellite TV, and the satellite TV, for whatever reason, only got the channel that TNA was on. And then also, coincidentally, that same satellite TV then got Ring of Honor. So TNA and Ring of Honor, I was like chilling and vibing, and I would look WWE results up online.
That's funny you mentioned that, because around 2006, because I'm a lifelong Kurt Angle fan, as you can see, always been a Kurt Angle fan. When he went to TNA was when I was like, let's start watching TNA. And then I was like, oh, let me just pick up these DVDs at the the library had some, the Hollywood Video had some.
Those are the old days, kids. Everybody in the chat, I'm pretty sure we're all old enough to remember like Blockbuster and like all those services. Is there anybody here who does not remember? I need to know.
I need to know so that we can.
Don't tell us how old you are or anything. I just want to gauge. I want to gauge where we're at.
Should I run a poll on Twitter?
Yeah, run a poll on Twitter. I really want to know, because so many kids, like the idea of Blockbuster, so many kids I see on Twitter are talking about like, wow, we really need stores like this to counter streaming services. And I was like, we had that. We had that. And now all we have is streaming services. Do you remember Redbox? It was like a vending machine for movies.
Yeah. It was always like I would go to the Stop and Shop, right?
Yeah.
Go to the Stop and Shop. And then as you're coming out on a Friday, I'm like, oh, this movie is available to rent that I didn't see in the theater 6 months ago. Let's do that. Where
was the Redbox? It was outside of like a CVS, I think. No, it might have been like a Circle K. I don't remember. But we would rent a movie. And they first of all, they were always scratched. We never had good luck with them.
Did you ever have to call the customer service to be like, yeah, I can't watch this movie? Or the one time that it was replaced by a different movie that was from a non PG-13 variety.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And I was like, oh, anybody could just put whatever they want in there, right?
But that was kind of like part of the fun. So if anybody doesn't know, it was a vending machine for DVDs, and then you would bring it back after like a day or a few days or however long you rented it. And it was basically like, you got what you got. And like people would destroy the DVDs or apparently replace them with bad things. But I was like, yeah, Christopher Reed says, I remember renting VHS tapes. Yeah, we would rent VHS tapes too from Blockbuster. It was like a thing you did on the weekends. You like Friday, you'd go with your parents and you'd rent a DVD or a VHS. Or I never played video games as a kid, but kids rented video games. Life was so much better back then.
That's true.
Now everything's on a streaming service, or even to play a lot of video games, you have to pay a subscription to like Xbox or PlayStation.
Well, there's that movie. Hold on. The Fall Guy, right? They spent $130 million making this movie, doing the ads. It stars Ryan Gosling, great. Stars Emily Blunt, right?
Blunt, yeah.
Yeah, married to Jim from The Office. Two great, fantastic A-list celebrities, but they only made 70 million, right? I think in the 76 million or something in the box office or opening weekend or whatever. And they're considering this like a huge loss because they spent so much money advertising, and they're like, why aren't people going to the movie? Why aren't people going to movies? Because do you want to go to a movie? Do you want to go to a $17 movie?
I pay for AMC A-List.
What is that?
So AMC is like a chain of movie theaters, and it's like $20 a month, but you get to see 3 movies a week. So it's $20 for 12 movies a month.
What?
Yeah. And so that's why I go to the movies a lot, because I just pay that every month, and then I get to see.
But it's only at that one theater.
Well, it's at like every AMC theater.
Oh, so it's not just one theater. It's like that brand of theater.
It's that brand.
We have like Regal here. Well, I think we have AMC. I can't remember.
Yeah, we have. I think we have like one Regal and like a Cinemark or something, but mostly AMC around where I live.
Yeah.
But yeah, Big Man Dogs in the chat. So streaming has gotten so bad that piracy is growing again for the first time in like a decade. Yeah, and like that's the thing for wrestling too. People, I don't pirate. I buy my pay-per-views. I will be upfront with that. But also, I think people look at like wrestling ratings and they say wrestling is the least popular it's ever been, which I don't think that's necessarily true, because you can look at like attendance numbers, you can look at all this kind of stuff. But I also think being on a streaming service for like AEW, for example, if AEW is put onto Max with the their new TV deal, which I have no clue about their new TV deal. I haven't heard anything. Yeah. But I think that really helps their exposure, because like everything is a streaming service. And it's the same thing with movies. Like, okay, in the theater, they don't do well, but a lot of movies do really, really well on streaming services.
Yeah.
So I think, and we're kind of getting back to the days where like all these streaming service bundles and like all this stuff, it's basically cable again. But Warner Brothers teaming up with Disney and Hulu and doing their joint thing that they're doing, that to me is a really, really big deal for like AEW. And like I don't care about ratings, and I hate ratings discourse. So like,
I don't talk about ratings. So
yeah, so like please don't start that in the chat, because I do not care about ratings, and I think it's toxic to gauge your enjoyment of things in your life on how many other people enjoy it. That's just not a good idea. Like, that is so stupid. But I think that in terms of like business health, I think wrestling companies are at their best. Like AEW, New Japan, Stardom, WWE, like at the Mexico scene and Japan, and also Europe is coming back. But I think that like we're just in a different environment for TV and film. It's just a little bit weird. And I think also people, for a long time, people who make TV shows and make film, like so many of them kind of insult the intelligence of the audience. Yeah. And they're just, people just don't enjoy watching rudimentary, cut and dry cookie cutter stuff anymore. So I think now we're getting back into an age where people are experimenting a lot more with film, like popular film, not like film festivals, like talking about like the big studios who make movies in theaters. And they're experimenting with TV shows and getting creative with things. And I'm excited about it. I think wrestling is kind of in the same spot where WWE used to do wrestling a certain way for a long time, but now other promotions are getting more popular because they're getting a little creative and experimenting and trying different flavors of wrestling and doing a lot of different things. So I'm excited about it. Will Morris in the chat says, I think the fact that channel surfing isn't really a thing anymore hurt wrestling. I think it did too. Because like I mentioned earlier, I found TNA and ROH by channel surfing. And so, because like I was a child, I had no idea about I had no idea. Wrestling was just wrestling to me. I didn't even know that WWE was like one part of wrestling. I thought it was just wrestling. Because like in the NFL, it's just like football is just the NFL in the US. Baseball in the US is just the MLB. Like that's just the way it is. But yeah, I do think that has hurt wrestling.
Well, I am always an advocate for streaming, because there is nothing I want to do less than be in a room with a bunch of strangers when I could just be at home in my own comfort, right? And because I don't know about y'all, but like, are you a participant when you watch movies? Like, do you laugh? Do you cry? Do you go, what the fuck? And like, especially like when I'm watching horror movies or when I'm watching thriller and suspense movies, I like to do that. And when I go to the theater, I have to mentally tone myself down because I don't want to ruin the experience for other people. Mm-hmm. So at wrestling shows, I'm kind of the opposite, but I also, this is just me, and I'm sure my husband gets really tired of it. Mm-hmm. But when we're sitting there and I'm like, oh my gosh, do you know that, blah, 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 like factoid, and I'm like looking it up on Wikipedia. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember they were in a stable in Ring of Honor, like, talking about like history of things. And we're talking during the match. I can't really do that in an arena because I don't want to be the person in my seat talking during the whole time or looking at my phone the whole time. So it's a different experience. It's like a different like mask or layer that I don't have to protect, that I can just be my weird self. And also I like to pause things. So it's
that's one thing about being at a wrestling show or at the movie theater or anything like that, is gauging like when you can go to the bathroom or like when you can go get a drink, like trying to figure out when it's a slow period. That's really, really difficult for me. Mike from Indeed is here, and he says, I am a known respectful heckler and starter of weird crowd chants.
I'm so glad you're awake, Mike. Mike missed our show a couple weeks ago and messaged me and was like, I was sleeping, which I respect the sleep claim because
I don't sleep. Sleep is so good for your body. You got to do it. You just missed our whole tangent, Mike, about Blockbuster and streaming services and wrestling. How, like, listen, the title of the stream is about Team AEW, King and Queen of the Ring. But you know what? We just vibe here. Wrestling made me cry.
So far, let's see if it'll focus.
Everybody has heard of Blockbuster.
Remember, you can go follow me at this. And look at that. Everybody said yes, and people are replying. Although I have it so to where only people who I follow and mention can reply. So, sorry about that. I just do it because I don't want the bots.
I was thinking about doing it too because I get so many bots of inappropriate things, and I don't mind it. Yeah, and I don't mind it because, like, I don't go into, like, the see more replies part of my tweets because I don't care.
Right.
But I do know that other people do, and I hate that, like, my platform is being used by bots to, like...
Yeah, to further propagate their bot...
Yeah, I just don't enjoy... Because it's those bots. It's also, like, the link in bio bots. And it's like the weird ones who are like, buy this crypto or like, and follow me to know what stocks to invest in, or like, no one cares. Like, get your bots out of here.
Get them out of here. Get them out of here.
Get out of here. But how do we get back to wrestling?
Have you ever gone to one of the pay-per-views that's showing in a movie theater?
I haven't. I've always wanted to, but I haven't.
It is fun.
Is it?
It's fun. So it's like, what I can relay it to is if you take your section at a live wrestling show and put them in a movie theater, it's like more concentrated, I guess. Like everybody is reacting and you're hearing it in proximity, but I'm not in the stadium. I'm not there. I'm not in the arena. I'm not seeing the wrestlers. I'm still watching it, but like the tickets are also $25. Plus they don't allow you to bring outside food unless you sneak it in, which I'm not going to officially advocate for. Do what's best for you. But I truly believe that everyone should have that experience at least once because it is really fun. And you get people who are chanting like behind you. And it's like, that's fun. I love it. Keep going.
Yeah. I'll have to make my way to one. It's like when Taylor Swift and Beyonce did their concerts in the theaters. Mm-hmm. It's like kind of the same vibe, which I love.
It is.
Because there's like very few affordable spaces like that where you can have that entertainment, because like concerts are really expensive and going to wrestling pay-per-views is really expensive. So I like that this is like an affordable option to like have the community and see the thing without having to go bankrupt. Fallen Footwear says, went to full gear theaters when Hangman beat Kenny. It was awesome. Went one time after and two dudes started arguing over Punk. That's still wrestling. Arguing in the theater. That's the most wrestling thing I've ever heard in my life. I love that. It was really so. Me and Haley and a bunch of our friends, we went to All Out, which was the show. Yeah, the show after CM Punk got fired, and we had planned to wear Elite T-shirts together to this show, and the terror I felt reading that CM Punk got fired and the only shirt in my bag is an Elite T-shirt, and we are in Chicago. I was terrified. But no one argued. At least I don't think that they tried to argue with me. I don't know.
It's too bad those merch stands apparently are not selling.
The AEW merch stands are low-key really bad. And it's like every show that they're really bad too. I just don't know. I don't know how they plan, like what shirts are going to be there, or like what action figures they bring, or what little flags or whatever else they have. I don't know who plans that, but also you need more, because there's like 6 T-shirts, and half of them are going to be like branded for the pay-per-view, and there's always going to be an MJF shirt. And then there's like 2 other random T-shirts, and it's just, and like it's expensive. They're very, very expensive. Everything there is expensive, but we need more. I'm trying to find this picture. So this was, Haley's gonna kill me for showing this, but me, my friend Haley, and our friend Mike was wearing a CM Punk shirt. We made this pose right before we went to the show. I don't know if you can see, but Mike is hitting Haley with a steel chair and I'm biting him. So we reenacted Brawl Out in our Airbnb before we went to the show to psych ourselves up. We had to do it.
Wow. I love that for you.
Yeah, we were in a rough spot. It was rough. Mike says, I've been to like 4 of their shows and never seen merch I wanted. Just stock that with all the Mel Coleman designs. Yeah, Mel has been putting out some really, really good stuff. It's like you can find on Shop AEW, or Shop AEW is their shop, or you can just follow her on Twitter and see everything that she posts. And I think that their AEW's merch game, in terms of like the quality of the merch and the quality of the designs, I think that's going way, way up recently. Less like cheesy things and things like that. But at the shows, it is so expensive. It just really is, and they only really have like straight sizes. Like they don't really have like
they don't cater to
balls or like the plus sizes really, and they don't have kid sizes. So like a bunch of kids are walking around just in like, which is cute, but in like the smallest adult size. But AEW is getting really popular with kids. Every show I go to, there's more and more kids. So
this is the only shirt. I think it's backwards. But it's a Seattle AEW wrestling, and it's in like the Bryan Danielson colors, the Seattle colors of like that blue and that green, and I got it at Wrestle Dream. That was the only time that I've like purchased like something that I was like, okay, I don't think I can get this anywhere else. I need to purchase this here. And the shirt was $50 for a T-shirt, which is like, okay, I know that I'm purchasing it, but it's like,
Yeah, they're getting more and more expensive because, like, I remember the Daily Place shows, especially that first Double or Nothing after the pandemic, like when things were a little bit lifted. I think I paid $30 for that shirt. And then every show it's like 35, 40, 45, 50. And they have like other expensive things too. They sell some signed stuff or, you know, higher dollar
Yeah,
items.
they'll have some of that. But
they need to have just like t-shirts that are, they don't have to be super basic, but they need to be low priced because you can sell your expensive shirts, your exclusive designs, your, you know, what have you. But the more people who have your merch, the more people are wearing your merch, the more people that see the merch, the more, that's the whole point of having branded shirts is people, you turn your audience into walking, talking advertisements.
Absolutely.
Like that is the whole point. And so I just don't know why they have moved away from that into having just the worst merch stands ever. But Mel Coleman's designs are worth it to me because I think Mel does just absolutely incredible stuff. And we are American, but they charge $75.80 in Canadian, which is like 60 American, I think. Something around there. Which is stupid because like I know they have to pay to like ship the stuff to Canada. I get it.
Right.
But
that's stupid.
Just people are already paying a ton to get into the show. Like AEW ticket sales have also gone up.
But I mean, if we're comparing between WWE, when you've gone to a WWE show versus an AEW show, WWE merch is like $30 for a t-shirt. They have like what they're advertising to you when you go to their homepage is what they're most of the time going to have at their merch booth. They usually have up to a 4X is what I've seen. And they have kid sizes. They have a lot of kids shirts, like, because I'll see it when you go up and it'll be like, here are your standard sizes. It's like extra small through 4X. And then it says, ask about kid sizes.
Yeah.
How hard is that? You want your kids to go to the show, so there should be stuff. But I really like how WWE merch, if you order it online, that it arrives in like a timely manner. But that's not what made me cry this week. So
no,
I didn't think I was going to talk about.
We are just turning into business people. That is what we're doing right now.
I just love that you're wearing a wrestling shirt and I am wearing what's on my mind right now, which is
wanted to wear it because Trent versus Orange Cassidy was so heartbreaking to me.
Oh my gosh.
I love that Trent wore a best friend shirt, but he like taped off the friends and then taped off the faces of everybody. So it's just his face and then best. That was so good. I loved that. But also, I loved this match, and I loved the beatdown angle at the end because Trent was very much like, I'm just going to kill Orange Cassidy, and my problems will be solved. And I loved Chris Statlander coming in and be like, yo, because she's still trying to be Trent's friend, and she's still trying to be like, you're just being crazy. Like, everybody will forgive you if you just come in. But I love this whole best friends angle, and I love everything that's happening with it. And should we talk? Listen, the Chuck Taylor stuff, it's not happy fun time. It's sad time.
It is sad time.
So I don't know any of the details of what's happening with Chuck Taylor. I only know what Shauna's reported. And Chuck Taylor, the retirement, the injury is apparently somewhat legitimate, and that Chuck Taylor's career might be over, which is so super sad to me because Chuck Taylor has been like a staple of like my wrestling enjoyment for so long, like on the indies, in ROH, and now AEW. Just, and the last thing Chuck Taylor did was say shit on TV.
I know, right? I saw that. I saw somebody say that, and they were like, "At least he got to say shit on TV." And I'm like,
got it. But Chuck Taylor has been learning.
Oh.
Yeah. I was just going to say, Chuck Taylor, Sean reported, has been learning how to be like a match producer and do backstage stuff. So I don't think we've seen the last of Chuck Taylor. Mm-hmm. But if Chuck Taylor never wrestles again, I'm glad that that's how, like, that he got that little, I don't want to say write-off, but like the bow at the end with his match with Trent. And I think that Chuck Taylor is really wrestling smart. I think Chuck Taylor, just thinking about stuff that Chuck Taylor did on the indies, thinking about Best Friends and like the story of that. I think Chuck Taylor would be an asset as a producer and, you know, behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. I just wish that I want every wrestler to have a Sting send off. I hate when wrestlers get hurt and then it's abruptly done.
Right.
That is so sad to me because I think about like my career that I enjoy and I love, and I think about that being ripped away from me, you know, outside of my control. And I just really feel for people. And I think when you're an on-screen person wrestling or TV or film, I think that also affects people who watch and they love you and support you. So like with Sting, he got like the long story, the match at the end, the big emotional send-off, and I want everybody to have that. But on the flip side, like Maria in the chat says, Trent is doing some really, really great stuff with this heel turn. I've been really enjoying it.
I mean, here's the thing with the Best Friends is that we all have really wanted them to be rewarded for their consistency, right? Yeah. So giving them a tag team champ run, giving them a trios would have been great, but they never really were afforded that opportunity. And having that kind of send off for Chuck would have been great for the fans, but I feel like from what I've known about Chuck Taylor for the last however long we've been watching him wrestle, this was how he wanted to go out. That it wasn't on everybody's minds of I'm so injured that I have to retire, but in going out hot, going out on fire, going out, you know, it just kind of it just kind of sucks that like what we remember of the Best Friends together, Trent and Chucky T, what we will remember them as is like they were great street fights and they pushed Orange Cassidy, but we aren't going to have them in our history books when we're looking at champions. We are going to look at Orange as being one of the greatest international, intercontinental champs. But it's hard that historians later won't revere the Best Friends in the same capacity as they would.
Yeah. So, and I think Best Friends in AEW, their career has kind of been defined by their ability to elevate others. And they're really, really good at that because both Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta are really good in the ring, like really underrated wrestlers.
Absolutely.
And I think that the Best Friends gimmick is so goofy, but not in a bad way. It's like goofy in a way that anybody up against them just looks tougher because of that. And I think that was their story in AEW. Like they had really, really great matches. They did a lot of great things. They were in like every tag title tournament, all the things, but they elevated a lot of teams. And I think Best Friends as an entity, that'll be their legacy. And I think they'll be celebrated for that for a long time. And I'm interested where they go with Trent because you would think that the culmination of the feud would be the reunion of the Best Friends. But if there's no Chuck Taylor, like if he's actually retiring or he's really, really injured, you can't reunite the Best Friends. So I'm really curious where they're going with Trent. Like, is Trent Orange the end goal? Because we just had that match, but maybe it's Orange Cassidy getting his revenge and coming back and, you know, however long. And then that's the story. It could be. Chris Statlander being there is also super interesting because she very much seems like she is trying to keep everybody together. But then if you look at Chris Statlander when she's with Willow in the women's division, That very much feels like she is on the verge of heel turn. So she's like in two separate puddles doing two different things. It's really interesting. So I don't know. I don't know what the end goal with the story is. And I think I kind of like that because
same.
Sometimes in AEW with their mid-card stories, or they're not mid-card, they're non-title stories, the end goal is predictable. That it's still an enjoyable story, and I still enjoy the matches and everything because I really do want to see stories come to an end instead of being forgotten.
Same.
But this one could go so many ways. Fernando says Trent should get a clean win against Orange Cassidy. Hugh says Trent singles run to the TNT title, feuding with Cassidy along the way. Fernando says Chris is going to turn heel and go with Trent. Yeah, it's like, because like if you look at best friends, right? If you take out Chuck Taylor, where is he? He's right here. You have those three left, but Orange Cassidy is never going to be a heel, right? He just never could be. So then you're left with Trent and Chris. So I don't know. Lisa said something in the chat I want to address. How Mercedes skipped the ranking, that's BS. The TBS title and TNT titles were never really affected by rankings. They always kind of had not open challenges, but open challenges, but also kind of open movement, I guess. I don't know.
Movement.
Open, like, there's rankings, like people challenge for those titles based on rankings, but there's always been opponents coming in and out based on, things that are needed and what have you. But yeah, that's like a different story for TBS and TNT. And that's why Willow's going to Stardom to defend the TBS title, because it's not about rankings. It's about, TBS and TNT are like workhorse titles. So yeah, speaking of TNT title, Adam Copeland, Brody King.
Oh my gosh.
We circle back.
Okay. 2 incredible Adam Copeland matches in 1 week. It's for me. That's for me. That's for me.
That's for you specifically. Yeah.
For me specifically, this was a love letter to Auntie Collins, just me. So first off, the Brody King one, holy blood. Holy no DQ. Holy mother of God.
Yeah. Did you hear so when Brody King lifted his head up and he was all bloody, the gasp in the arena? People were shocked. It was so good. But Adam Copeland, like the Cope Open, I really enjoy because I love seeing Adam Copeland every week, right? I need Adam Copeland to destroy Malachi Black. I want him because Malachi Black, did you on Dynamite, did you see his little promo? Malachi Black? Well, he basically said Adam Copeland used to be like me, used to be like on the dark side like me, but then he gave it all up for a wife and kids, and now he thinks that he's this good guy, a good dad, a good husband, blah blah blah. But really deep down inside, he's still like me, and I'm going to bring that out of him. Yeah. Which is so good.
Yeah. Bring it out. I want to see it. We all want to see it. I'm here for it. That is why you came here. And that's the thing, Adam Copeland's done a couple interviews lately. I talked about the one on Unrestricted last week. There was one on Busted Open Radio this last whatever. But the way that he talks about the way that he's wrestling now, right? It's that I don't think he's ever going to say anything negative about his experience in WWE. I mean, heck, they brought him back. But the way that he wants to sunset his career and he feels good about it, WWE would not allow him to, right? A 50-year-old wrestling at this level, come on. But we're seeing it. We're seeing that caliber. Yes. And seeing him wrestle the way that he wants to wrestle is so sick and disgusting, and I'm here for it. This is the Adam Copeland that we want to see.
Yeah. And
so give it to me.
I really love that, medicine and fitness and all these things are in a good enough state where we're adding years to people's careers and the way that they're able to do this. And I think wrestlers are really understanding the importance of resting injuries, no matter how long you're gone, and taking care of your body. I see it among young wrestlers too. And I also see older wrestlers like Taz giving great warnings to younger wrestlers about taking care of their body. So it's really awesome to see Christian Cage as well challenging Swerve and Adam Copeland in the TNT title picture. Wrestlers who are older. I don't want to say old because these are not old people. But in terms of wrestling, they're old. They're older.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see them doing, in my opinion, at least for both of them, some of the best work of their careers. I'm having a blast with Adam Copeland as TNT champion. And I loved this match with Brody King. I thought it was really, really good. And it did feel a lot like old Edge. It really did.
Wait, you were alive for WrestleMania 24, correct?
Wait, sorry, repeat that.
WrestleMania 24, right? Mick Foley and Edge.
Was I alive? Let's look. I don't want to do the math because
I don't remember when you were born, so I don't know. I think
WrestleMania 24 was in 2008.
Oh yeah.
I was 10.
Yeah.
And that was like I was into WWE in 2008, believe it or not. I know that's hard for people, but I loved it.
Oh wait, 24 was Undertaker and Edge. My mistake. Thank you, Big Man Dogs. Oh my god. What is wrong with me?
Oh my god, look at this poster for WrestleMania 24. Why is Big Show so big?
Because he is big.
But why is he... Look at all the stars there. You have Triple H, Randy, John Cena, Edge, Undertaker, Big Show. It's just massive. He's like 4 times the size of John Cena.
Oh my gosh.
That's
People
crazy.
are going to murder me because no, it's WrestleMania 22. Thank you so much. My friends in my Discord are roasting me. I'm sorry. Jeez.
I'm just looking at WrestleMania posters now. Let's see if we can find any other wacky ones.
Oh my gosh. But it was a hardcore match, and there's the flaming table. It just, listen, all the WrestleManias in my brain are like, you just add one and you melt it down into my brain.
Yeah.
Add one.
Well, they all kind of blur together. Once you've seen a few. Yeah.
I'm not like Will Washington, where I can be like, WrestleMania, whatever was at this stadium, and this is what was going on. Will Washington
is crazy.
I know.
I was on, it must have been Day After Dynamite. I'm trying to remember all the shows Will did for Fightful, but we had like a long chat after, and
yeah,
he's really like that.
Yeah,
he really is. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
crazy. Anyways, that's just what it reminds me of. It's like this whole build up to Mick Foley versus Edge was, I'm hardcore. I can do this. I'm not just a TLC guy. Like, I'm ready to bring your biggest, right?
Yeah.
And I just think that like we are getting shades of that brutality, but in a smarter and wiser man. You know what I mean? And there was an interview that Adam Copeland was doing that he was like, when I came back in 2020 and they did that best wrestling match ever, or the greatest wrestling match ever, and it was pre-taped, and that's when he hurt himself, right? He got injured.
Yeah, the 45-minute match with Randy Orton.
Yeah.
I have so much trauma from that match. The best part, though, was going on Twitter and seeing like literally every person being like, when is this going to end?
And I'm tired.
Dave Meltzer having a meltdown about how much he hated that match.
But like, here's the thing, like their WrestleMania match and then their greatest match ever or whatever is that Adam Copeland's like, I was having fun And if there was a crowd, it would have felt different, but I was just having fun wrestling my bud.
Yeah.
And the reason why he got hurt was because, it was all pre-taped. It was during the pandemic. Like, they didn't have the, this is actually live thing. Mm-hmm. Everything was pre-taped. So they had to like reshoot some of those segments, right? When you've been working out, you know what it is. I know what it is. You get that sweat up at that 45-minute mark and you're like, hell yeah. And then if you ever have to pause and like change machine and clean, your bench or whatever you're doing. And then you're like, the last thing I need to do is this one thing, but someone's on this machine. Your body's getting cold, right? You're not keeping it liquid. So then you go to do it. And that's where injury can happen, is because you let your body cool down. And I think that Edge's mentality is, I don't want to cool myself down right now. I'm going. We got so many things in the tank right now. Let's keep going. And he wants to do it in the way to elevate everyone else. Mm-hmm. And what greater thing could be, I'm a young guy. I'm in my 20s. I'm going to fucking wrestle Adam Copeland.
Yeah.
And he's going to put me over. Even if I lose, Brody King was so fucking over. Yes. And last night on Collision, they were booing Adam Copeland because Kyle O'Reilly had them believing that he was going to win. How many near falls? That crowd was behind Kyle O'Reilly.
I love everything that they've been doing with Kyle O'Reilly. It just feels so genuine. It's another guy who 20 years ago would have never wrestled again, but like, because we're in such a better place scientifically, I guess, he's able to do this. And I think I just need Kyle O'Reilly. I think the end goal is Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. I think that's what we're building to. And I need him to win. I need Kyle O'Reilly to be, because Will Ospreay is obviously who they think is going to be their like babyface, number one babyface. But I think Kyle O'Reilly is a good person to be right there with him. I think people love Kyle O'Reilly. I think everybody loves Kyle O'Reilly as a human being, which is like the magic that you need. But speaking of Will Ospreay also tweeted how much he loves, admires, and respects Adam Copeland. Let me pull it up. He said, the one thing that needs to be said out loud, it's so effing amazing having Adam Copeland in the locker room and putting on these type of matches in this part of his career. What a legend, bruv. So, like, Adam Copeland is a veteran, obviously, who has all this experience doing wrestling on TV, who is doing, in my opinion, his best character work and some of the best matches of his career in a long time at the very least. Right. And the younger guys who could very well be upset that this veteran is taking a title and a spot. They could be upset that he is having some of the most like critically acclaimed matches on every show.
Sure.
But in the locker room and behind the scenes, just going off of what Will Ospreay has said, he is such a benefit to AEW. Like, he is such a good signing for them, not just because of his face and name value, but also for this reason. AEW brings in a lot of veterans, but not all of them are like this. So I just love Adam Copeland.
It does make me want to cry. So
Mike says Ospreay versus Copeland will be legendary. It has to happen. It has to happen. Delayed Grat says, I really hope this is the beginning of the Copeland heel turn and reunion with Christian. They need to go out as tag team champions. I would die. My favorite tag team as a kid was Edge and Christian. And I've Edge and Christian, and also the Hardy Boys, but Edge and Christian primarily. We have a super chat from NYU's 99 who says, Thanks to you two folks for making my no fun day Sunday. You're working on Sunday? It's Mother's Day.
I'm sorry.
But I'm glad that we could be here for you. Another super chat from Jorge who says, what do you think of Omega and Ospreay feud for the love of Meltzer? Oh my God, can we talk about this? So on Kenny Omega's live stream.
Yes! Kenny Omega in pink is my favorite, by the way.
Yes, I love it.
Just saying.
But I don't remember. Someone had asked him something about Dave Meltzer and like what he thinks about the ratings. I don't remember the exact question. But he said that basically Dave Meltzer broke the scale with Omega Okada, and now he's just lost his mind, has no idea what a good match is anymore. Which is like Ospreay, like every match Ospreay has is like 5-6 stars according to Dave Meltzer.
Yeah.
So Kenny Omega being like, actually, bro, your Dave Meltzer is just crazy. Like he's losing his mind. Which is so funny to me. And I have no doubt in my mind that Omega has a lot of respect for Meltzer. I'm not saying that he's clearly working an angle here with Ospreay. We are not shitting on Dave Meltzer in the chat. We are not shitting on Dave Meltzer ever.
Right. That's not what we're doing here.
We're not here for that. So please don't do that. But I do think that because Ospreay is kind of like critically lauded as like the successor to Omega, but also someone who will probably in every aspect pass Omega, just generationally. That's just how it's going to happen because he's so much younger. I don't believe that. I think Omega is probably the best ever. But I think going after Ospreay's achievements, I mean, like, you only got that because I broke Dave Meltzer. And, my matches were so good that Dave Meltzer couldn't comprehend it. I think that is an interesting little layer to their story, which is also interesting because Omega, on his appearance on AEW, teased the match with Okada. Right. In a few months, come for me, we'll have this match. So Omega is just lining up matches for when he's finally able to wrestle again, which I don't know when it's going to be. But
it's a biggest tease.
Yeah, I absolutely adore everything about that. And I love Kenny Omega's live streams for that reason, because he will say things as, kayfabe Kenny Omega. Like, this is Kenny Omega, the wrestling character. But he'll also say other things as the real him, like when he talks about video games or talks about things that anime, things that he likes. So the lines get really, really blurred on those live streams. And it makes it so fun and so enjoyable. But yeah, Jorge, I agree. Omega is better than everyone. He's my favorite wrestler ever. But wrestling is subjective and all those disclaimers.
I mean,
what do you think as a Kurt Angle fan about Dave Meltzer's 5-star scale?
I don't give single fuck about Dave Meltzer's thing because Kurt Angle doesn't have a single 5-star. You're telling me that Kurt Angle does not have a 5-star match from Dave Meltzer? And I'm supposed to believe that all people who've gotten a 5-star match are the cream of the crop?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy because Kurt Angle, there's so many matches in WWE, but a lot in TNA that I would say. If they were today, I would be like, that's 5 stars. Kurt
Angle versus Shawn Michaels is not a 6-star belter. You're telling me that Kurt Angle against Eddie Guerrero is not a 5-star belter? You're telling me all the triple threat matches, the bloodiest bloodbath between him and Stone Cold.
What I love about Meltzer's 5-star scale nowadays is that basically you need 3.5 stars for fans to be like, yeah, that was a good match. Where it used to be like you would get 2 out of 5 and that's average. But now it's like because Omega and Okada and Adam Cole and Will Ospreay and all these people have gotten above 5. Everybody's like, ooh, but even now 5 feels mid. Like 5 feels like it was good, but it's not legendary. Delayed in the chat says AJ versus Cody, 5 stars at Backlash. the match was really good. I'm not
right. The match was good.
It was good, but like 5 stars now, it feels like in a lot of ways because we've gotten so far above 5, and like we're probably going to get to 8, 9, 10 pretty soon. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Chronically underrating women as well, which.
Speaking of women, that was such a bad segue. But I wanted to say, hold on, let me pull it up. Yeah, Starflation. Starflation is so funny.
Listen, I'm going to put up my own star ratings now. And it's only going to be Adam Copeland matches.
WWE announced Zelina Vega is out of the Queen of the Ring tournament.
What?
Yeah. With injury. She said, heartbroken, being the first ever that crown was my crown. That being said, I'm super grateful to have a history-making moment in WWE. Shayna Baszler, this isn't over. You can be Queen of Spades, blah, blah, blah. I'll be the first Queen of the Ring. Maxine, you got this. Show them who you are.
Oh.
So King and Queen of the Ring tournament is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But all I can really say is Jade Cargill is getting a lot of good reps and looks really, really good in this tournament.
So she's going to win, is what you're saying.
I don't know. It feels like a no-brainer to me because if she's going to be wrestling so much now, it feels like a no-brainer that you would need to solidify her in some way. Like, I don't think that it's a good idea to have... but losing in Queen of the Ring tournament is not a big deal. Like, I don't think it's a big significant loss, but I don't know. And then it's so weird now. I like that house shows are meaningful now because some of these King and Queen of the Ring matches are happening on the house shows.
Mm-hmm.
But it also feels really, really strange to me that you would promote King and Queen of the Ring on your shows as something that is so, so, so important. And all these people really, really want it. And then fans don't have access to like half of the tournament. Mm-hmm. That's really strange to me. But yeah, I don't know. I think Jade wrestled Piper. And I think Jade is built, like I mentioned this last week, I think she's built for WWE. And I think that Jade being the Queen of the Ring with the crown and like all the trappings of the Queen, I think is a good idea. But I could also see them putting that off because she's tag champ and giving her a close loss where she doesn't look bad and then letting her work back up to be a single star. But I can also see them using this as a launching pad, maybe for a Jade Bianca Belair feud down the line. I don't know.
Right.
The tournament is just so confusing to me. I just don't know why it's happening the way that it's happening. Because
I mean, the first rounds are literally this week and the live events this weekend, right? Which is, we talked about this, already, but like, I wish that they were more advertised, like a little bit more in advance. So like these live events this weekend, can we watch these? Is it possible to get these streamed on delay somehow? Like,
yeah, it's just weird. WWE also doesn't do a whole lot of big tournaments like this, right? So I feel like it should be a really, really big deal. And yeah, and people in the chat, it's not round robin style,
right?
I mean, the G1 is round robin style, and Western fans love the G1, so I think that could work in American wrestling, but it's just not what they do. I don't know why. I don't know what like the reason for that is, but because WWE doesn't do a lot of tournaments, like AEW does so many tournaments. There's a tournament for everything in there.
Yeah.
I just wish that this was like a crowning achievement. Like and it hasn't been for a long time in WWE. But I really feel like Triple H should have taken this and made it the center point of TV. I really do. But now they announced matches for TV. Then they're like, oh, psych, actually, this is happening on a house show that you're not going to be able to see.
Right.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know. Will with the super chat says, I got a theory. I think Tiffany beats Bianca because she hurt her knee. Jade beats Nia, and Tiffany beats Jade thanks to Nia. Yeah. I think that any of the people that you mentioned could win because I think they're really high on Tiffany. I think they're really high on Jade as well. And I mean, Nia is like consistent. They adore Nia Jax. I'm so confused about where Jade Cargill stands because they put her in a tag team, gave them the tag team titles on a pay-per-view, and then now she's in Queen of the Ring. I don't know. I just don't know where they're going with it. But I'm kind of excited about that because I want Jade to be a big deal in WWE because I love Jade and I want Jade to be a big deal. But people, okay. They're in the chat talking about round robin tournaments and different tournament styles. Okay. I love a round robin tournament, I will say. I love the G1. And what I love about tournaments like that is that elimination style tournaments are quick. Like King and Queen of the Ring, they're quick, they're decisive, you get the result. But with something like a round robin, there's so much potential for like coming back from behind stories or like clinging to a lead stories, like because you earn points. And I like that when someone loses, they're not necessarily out. That's what I really love about the G1. And I think WWE could do that. I really do. But I think that because American fans especially, because all of our big tournaments are elimination style. Like if you look at the NCAA tournaments, they're elimination style. So I think that it would maybe take a little bit of adjustment for people to get used to it. But I think that there would be so many matches in a round robin tournament in WWE. Like if you took the G1 and put it in WWE, there's too much happening.
And I mean, considering here's what I love about the G1. The G1 is like over a month, right? And you're having multiple shows during the week, just like what we have with WWE products. But it's rewarding fans for paying attention to your product, which historically has not been a strong suit of WWE, is rewarding long-term storytelling in a small capacity like this tournament, right? It requires a lot of thinking, a lot of shuffling, because not every match in the G1 is important, right? Yeah. Some of them are squash matches. Yeah. But there is storytelling in squash matches. I unfortunately think that WWE's squash match style is not really storytelling, but this is something to do at this time. And that's my opinion. And if you don't have that opinion, let me know in the comments or in the chat, because that's where I think it is lacking. And I'm hoping that in this new era that they will focus more in on that long-term storytelling with not just your main event, Roman Reigns, but in this King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring tournament, 5 people who were scheduled to be in the tournament were out with injury: Xavier Woods, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Asuka, and now Zelina. So those are all people that I probably would have picked to win. Along the way. Xavier Woods has won before. Zelina has won before. So having that as a story is no longer possible for the men and women. But seeing that the quarterfinals is this week on Raw and SmackDown, they have not announced anything for live events. I mean, with the men's side, I think that we're gonna get an Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther, and we're not going to see that until next week. So, I mean, that is if Ilya defeats Jey Uso, which I'm so sorry, Jey Uso. I don't believe that you're going to win against Ilya Dragunov.
The bloodline is in such a weird spot in WWE right now. And I don't want to go too much into it because I have like a lot of complaints and I don't want to turn this into a super negative thing.
Right. But because this is Wrestling Made Us Cry. So.
Yeah. But I also, to go back to the G1, I feel like the G1 style would consume WWE in such a way that there'd be little room for anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if fans would like that because New Japan is very much presented, right, as this is a sport, right? Mm-hmm. This is like this is our NCAA tournament. This is our playoffs. This is our, it takes over everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think WWE is not that way, where it's so sports focused. And I think fans would be like, oh, well, wait a minute. What is this? Why are we doing this? I think they would love to do, get printouts of the blocks and like make the predictions and points and things like that.
Yeah.
I think American wrestling fans love to do that kind of stuff and have bets and competition and all that. But I don't know if WWE right now, at least, is in a sports enough mode that it could take on something like this one. So like the elimination tournament, just to settle the debate in the chat, the elimination tournament is probably the best way. It just sucks that there's been so many injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks that the injuries are like some of WWE's biggest voices right now. Mm-hmm. Like Drew McIntyre and Zelina, they're like, and Xavier Woods are so prominent, right? In like Triple H's vision of WWE. So it just blows. It just really sucks because this could have been something that was major for the promotion and also for people in the tournaments. So I don't know. I don't know how it ends. It's like kind of unpredictable, but I do like that Jade is being positioned as someone who is a big contender amongst long-term, like solid talent on the main roster. I love that Jade is like, they're presenting her as someone who can hang. Because I think that that's the best way to debut her. I didn't like that they debuted her and then took her off TV and she was gone forever.
Same.
Because genuinely, I don't think that Jade has changed that much from AEW to the extent that she needed all this time to train and prepare for WWE TV. I just don't think it's true. But yeah, King and Queen of the Ring is a cursed tournament.
I agree. Everything you said. I love it all. I mean, needless to say, some of these matches, I mean, in the first round with Gunther and Sheamus.
Sheamus with the pace. Has anybody here watched Sheamus's workout YouTube channel? Because if so, you need to tell me because I love it. You have it, Celtic Warrior workouts? Oh, so good. It's basically Sheamus. I don't remember. It was years ago.
Sheamus.
Sorry. he wanted to get like into shape, and so he started like touring around different wrestlers doing their workouts, and then he started doing like fitness influencers, bodybuilders, like other people who work out, and it was just a lot of fun to see Sheamus because there was one that was really, really funny. It was like a CrossFit workout, and it was Seth Rollins, Cesaro, Claudio, and I think Becky Lynch was there, and I think Becky Lynch was there, but anyway. Sheamus was on the verge of throwing up the entire time, and I think did throw up at the end. So go watch that. It was just so funny to see him. He's just such a personality. So now every time I see Sheamus, there was this. So Sheamus would do an exercise, and Claudia would be there, and he would go like, "Sheamus with the pace," and it was like a chant that he did to motivate Sheamus. I don't know. So now every time I see Sheamus, I think of that. And I just love Sheamus so much.
That's so funny.
Bar. We need the bar. We don't set the bar, we are the bar. AEW, you know what to do.
Do you know that so I love like mimicking entrances sometimes, especially when I was more of a drinker. I've broken my finger doing the AJ Styles entrance.
Yeah, listen, one time I did the Finn Balor thing back then, and I tore something in my elbow. I had a massive bruise like on this whole elbow.
Yeah, I broke my finger, so now we have entrance injuries.
I love that we both injured ourselves in that horrible way. Listen, yeah, I love the Bar. The Bar was one of my favorite tag teams. We don't set the bar.
Their entrance of like one of them to.
I loved when the Bar was first forming and they did that segment where they were at a bar, and I don't remember what happened to make the brawl break out, but it was like a bar brawl, and Claudio and Sheamus had been like feuding, and they're like, oh, I guess we'll work together to destroy this bar of people. And they destroyed the bar of people. It was so good. Does anybody else remember this?
It was a moment. It was a moment. I do. This was like pre AEW, so I was fully consumed by WWE and all the things. So, oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. Remember Orton breaking his arm, smashing the mat?
Yep.
Yeah. Remember, I don't remember when it was. I try to remember. But do you remember when Cody Rhodes got power bombed by, I think, Triple H onto a table, and like Cody was so light that the table didn't break, but it like knocked his pelvis out of place? Does anybody else remember this? Oh my god. Okay. I just have so many random WWE memories.
Oh my goodness.
We could do a whole podcast about WWE
of just injuries.
On injuries.
I mean, there's one where Sami Zayn was doing his arm pump and he knocked his shoulder out. So
that's my biggest fear.
I mean, here's the thing. I don't injure myself in ways that like, because I lift weights, right? So I don't injure myself while lifting weights. But then a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting at my desk and all of a sudden I'm like, I can't move my thumb. All I did was take my dogs on a walk. Can't move my thumb. And it literally wasn't like not moving. So I was like, okay, how do you type and like keep your thumb straight? So then I was putting on lotion. Like 2 hours later, I'm in excruciating pain. I'm like, I should probably go home. And I go like this, and I just feel it, like the whatever, like click back into place. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, my thumb just, dislocated itself. Cool, for like 2 hours. And I'm sitting here in pain. And now I can actually move my thumb. And it's in pain. But like doing everyday things, I assume that wrestlers do that. So I'm basically
wrestlers get so many just dumb injuries. And
yeah. I mean, Becky,
injuries happen. Like, I'm not shaming anybody who's gotten injured, but there's so many funny stories of wrestlers getting injured doing just the stupidest things, or like freak accidents, like that time Cash Wheeler cut open his arm.
Oh my god.
That was so freaky. That was so scary.
A new fear unlocked.
Yeah. And then not even that long after, wasn't it Liv Morgan got stuck? Like her boot got stuck on the same hook.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think it was Liv Morgan. That's crazy to me.
And I mean, I know that like Bayley has had it like freak accidents, right? They've said that like freak accidents have happened and she completely tore her ACL. We've seen obviously Becky Lynch get sucker punched in the face and broke her nose. And
well, there was also that time. It was Kenny Omega versus Jon Moxley in the Lights Out match, and they had exposed the wooden part of the ring, and Kenny did the Phoenix Splash, but like over rotated and landed on his eye socket.
On his eye,
it was, like, really bruised. That's crazy because it was just an over rotation. Like when you're in the air and you have no sense of where you are, it happens all the time. It happens to gymnasts all the time. So like the fact that he over rotated in such a way that he landed on that was crazy.
Well, I mean, that's what Simone Biles, right? And at the Olympics last time was like, oh, I don't know what's going on with my body. But I'm not trusting myself on the vault because I'm like over rotating. Something's going on, equilibrium, whatever. And you just don't trust yourself. And I hated that people were giving her shit for it because it's like, these athletes know their body more than we do.
Yeah.
And if they're saying, hey, I don't trust myself at this level, I'm not going to participate. It's like, okay, what do? You keep going on. But yeah, I hate watching injuries. I don't want to see them happen. I don't like injury angles either. Mr. Bryan Danielson, talking to you.
He's a sicko.
He is a sicko.
He loves when people are worried about him. He thrives on it.
I'm going to be worried about him every day. For the last 10 years, every match, I'm worried about him. Mm-hmm. Every match.
He's just such a... sicko is probably the only word that encompasses just everything that Bryan
sicko.
He's just so good at what he does. Like, and I love that he's on Team AEW because he's going to do some sicko stuff. He's probably going to go, Jack Perry versus Bryan Danielson in Anarchy in the Arena. They need to do something crazy with that. Because, listen, FTR and Young Bucks are probably going to go off and do flips off everything. That's what I'm guessing, at least. And then Okada and Eddie, probably, which is chef's kiss, because Eddie Kingston is going to annihilate him.
I know. He's going... But there's no better image than Eddie Kingston 2 years ago, covered in blood, with a gas can.
Yeah. Eddie Kingston is he just thrives in those matches where he's allowed to be a maniac.
Yeah.
And think of just the most, same thing as Moxley. Just think about the most insane things that you can. And I also think Okada, surprisingly, is of the same breed. And Danielson. I think that they're all like in the sickos club. Like, if we
also know that Ibushi is in the same.
So is Kenny. Kenny's in the sicko club too.
Yeah,
also
they're all
Page,
sickos.
the blood drinker. He's also in the sicko club.
The blood drinker.
A super chat from Delayed Grat says Jack Perry needs to go through real glass. Yes. Oh my goodness. You could put him through like a glass door. That would be crazy. I love that Jack Perry will always be the real glass guy now. I love that for him. But there's got to be glass. Like, whether it's real glass or sugar glass or whatever, like Jack Perry needs to either use glass as a weapon, but I would say use glass as a weapon against like Danielson, for example, and have it completely backfire. That would be so good. Just imagine Jack Perry was like a pane of glass, like ready to like swing it. And he just, listen, Tony Khan, I'm giving you free ideas here. But I think
that hurts.
Yeah, it hurts.
It hurts.
But Jack Perry did it to himself. He's the one who said, real glass, cry me a river. You defined your own career doing that, Jack Perry. So now you owe us glass.
For him not coming out to Justin Timberlake's Cry Me a River is such a miss.
Tony Khan, buy the rights. Tony, I'm telling you, buy the rights. You could imagine a video package of Jack Perry highlights created by the Elite, and it's just set to Cry Me a River. Tony Khan, listen. Or no, you're not in charge. Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, listen.
Oh my gosh. Right. He's trying to revive his image. He's trying to revive his career, right?
Yeah.
After that Britney book came out. So this would be a perfect way with wrestling. But so far we have this show in 2 weeks, right? This Double or Nothing. There are 6 matches so far. We'll probably get 3 or 4 more.
Yep.
I mean, I'm more excited for some than I am of others.
Okay.
Definitely Roderick Strong versus Will Ospreay.
A banger.
Gonna be a banger. Definitely excited for Swerve versus Christian Cage. Definitely excited for Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black. Definitely excited for the Anarchy in Arena. Definitely excited about Willow versus Mercedes.
It's going to be a really good show. And I love that there's every match that's announced so far has like it's really high stakes and also a really good story behind it. And I think the story thing is so cliche. People being like, where's the story? Like, shut up. Not everything needs a story. But I do think that 2 weeks out, having this strong core of the pay-per-view where it's like Will Ospreay has his own story in AEW.
Yeah.
But like this Roderick Strong match has a strong story. And Christian and Swerve has a story that's gone back like months. And especially with the Mobile Embassy turning on Swerve. I think that now Swerve is all by himself. He's all on his lonesome. I think that it's a real test for Swerve, kayfabe wise, like a test of who he is. Does he actually have champion might and grit and all the babyface champion stuff? Anarchy in the Arena, obvious story there. We don't need to talk about her. Mercedes Willow, that's another obvious story. Chris Statlander is an interesting curveball there, like we talked about earlier. Do you think that Chris is turning heel?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yes. I'm so excited.
Hell yeah.
I'm so excited.
I mean, it feels like a no-brainer, and it feels like, I mean, of all the things, I think that Mercedes will get the TBS title unless there's, I can't imagine Mercedes losing her first match into AEW unless there's a disqualification.
Yeah.
But
I also, the women's division, like there's some like lurkers, like Britt Baker is still lurking, like Jamie Hayter still injured, but also lurking. And there's like, I mean, Julia Hart is also out, but she'll be back. And it's like Mercedes is probably going, I think Mercedes is going to win. And I think, but then again, maybe she doesn't win. But I think she wins. I think she wins. I think it's her first match in AEW. I think she wins. And then it's really interesting to think like, okay, what's next, right? Because there's like obviously all the people who are there, but then there's also all the people who aren't there, and like also all the women in ROH, right? So it's like
we're not talking about ROH this week. We cannot.
Okay, no ROH. No, forget I said it. No ROH. But also like the women's world title picture. It's Tony and Serena. I'm not all that interested in Tony versus Serena. I'm going to be honest. I'm not all that interested.
That was the obvious one that I left out in my.
Yeah, I think it was crazy that Serena was trying to be the babyface here. Whose decision was that? But I do think the Toni Storm character, and like, because like Mariah May is having all these matches, really, really good matches and winning, and Mina's there as well. And Mariah's still being Tony Jr. and has Tony's music and all that kind of stuff, while Tony is still the women's champion. But I think like we're reaching a point where it's like Tony is cycling back and Mariah is, I want that match so bad.
I want that match so bad too.
Joel Pearl says, are we no longer ROH bots?
Listen.
We're trying not to be.
Joel, it has pained me for the last 2 weeks that the episodes have only been 45 minutes and we're still stuck in Daily's Place tapings. Right? There's so many storylines that we need to be building for July, right? And nothing seems to be building except one match in your series of like 6 to 7 matches on a Thursday. And I'm sitting here going, another squash match. This last week, Kyle K. Sparks came back, right? So he's my numbers guy, and I love it. I love it because he talks about all the numbers. The average match time was like 6 minutes. 6 minutes? Because there were 2 matches that were under 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
It's very much AEW Dark era. Joel says, I like how there are both 15 champions in ROH and 0 champions in ROH.
Absolutely. Nobody's there, but everybody's there.
That's the best summary of ROH right now, I think. I
have a milk carton out with.
Also, why did they do this whole story of the Acclaim versus Bullet Club Gold to unify the titles, just for there not to be a new belt, but for there to still be both belts, just as they're unified?
Jay White with a bunch of belts.
I love Jay White.
Let me lust over Jay White, please.
I was never like a really big Jay White fan in New Japan. Like I liked him, but I was never
baby.
I didn't really
He was baby.
Yeah, but then he came to AEW and I was like, Bullet Club Gold sucks because I wasn't a fan of the Guns. I'm still not that big of a fan of the Guns. And I was like, oh my God, you're joking me. More Guns. Oh God. But they won me over. I love Bullet Club Gold and I love Jay White. And he is a specimen. And I'm just so annoyed by this whole title situation. Because they're still technically they still have belts on. They're carrying around belts that say ROH.
Right.
But they're not ROH trios champions because that doesn't exist anymore.
And here's the thing.
They week were after not weekend. Was it just me, or did you get the impression that this was going to be a one belt unification? Here's like, was that something? You got that impression?
I mean, we all know that these trios belts in AEW were designed for Kenny and the Young Bucks.
Yeah.
Right? And then there was that whole brawl out, all out sitch. I know that those things happen, whatever. And then suddenly it fell off the map. Right? Yeah. The trios titles in ROH do have a little bit more of a history. But currently in Ring of Honor land, we are developing tag teams and trios without seeing the champs. So right now we are facilitating the Righteous and Lance Archer as a trios team, but no mention of the current champs. I don't know what they're doing.
There's no trios belts. Like
right.
They're calling them like the Unified World Trios Champions, whatever. But like they never said, okay, these titles are going to be ROH and AEW titles.
Right.
They never said they never clarified any of that. So they are still double trios champions. They are carrying both sets of trios belts.
It doesn't make any sense.
Are they defended individually? Like, are they going to lose the ROH ones and like we're just going to use them to like split the titles? Like, what is the plan here? And that goes for like every ROH title except the women's, if we're being honest, because they're all just an AEW, except for Wheeler Yuta, he's out, but they're all just AEW.
We have not seen that pure titles at all on a pay-per-view since November and on television since January.
Yeah.
No mention of it.
He's out with like concussion stuff, which fair enough. Like take care of your brain, my God. But like, why wouldn't you just take the belt from him? Like AEW did that like 50 times, even when people didn't want them to. You could just say, okay, Wheeler, you can have a title shot when you come back. But right now we need to put it on X person, Josh Woods, whoever else they want, Daniel Garcia, whatever. And it would be fine. But then, I mean, Athena is a different story because the women are carrying ROH. But it's like every man's title from the top to the bottom.
I mean,
is wrapped up in AEW.
I told you we weren't going to talk about ROH here, and I'm about
I blame Joel Pearl.
Yeah. Blame Joel Pearl. So, but here's the thing. It's all of a sudden we get to this capacity, right? Of the women have been running ROH, but what women are we building? Are we building any more women for Athena? We now have this TV title, and Nyla Rose versus Athena literally said, I do not care about Athena. I don't care about beating you. I care about her. When she pointed to Billy Starks. Why are we not building Billy Starks for Nyla Rose?
Right.
Why is Nyla not on my TV week after week after week? In some capacity.
And what is crazy to me is they are playing it out exactly how they played AW Dark, where there are stories that were on AW Dark that were Dark exclusives, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I think about like Scorpio Sky, who had like 50,000 views that never made it to AW TV, but they were all on Dark. But then there's also stories that are clearly being built just so that the culmination of the story can be snatched and put on AW TV. And it's such a weird zone that ROH is in, because like I got the vibes for a long time, especially like I would say this year up until recently, that they were slowly making ROH its own thing. Like some AEW people were dropping titles, you know, the titles were getting their own active scene, whatever, but we've like quickly reversed that. And now it is AEW Dark in all of the bad ways.
It's just people getting their reps in, and I respect getting your reps in, and I respect having people showcased on there like Zicky Dice, because I freaking love Zicky Dice, and I love the commentary mentioned, hey, he was the NWA television champion. You know who was the champion before him? Ricky Starks. Look where he is now. But I miss Ricky Starks. That's not here nor there. Whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that, okay, you do have these people come in and they're not so random, but then it's like, oh, first, you know, debut of this, and I'm like, I have no idea who this person is. Oh, I look online and it's like, oh, they were on NXT. Oh, the match is over by the time I'm done researching.
Yeah. Big Man Dogs says Tony is probably putting ROH on ice until become parts of a rights deal. Why would you do that though?
Why would you do that?
Yeah, if you're trying to get ROH part of your TV rights deal, you would ramp it up. You would make it can't miss TV. You would do crazy things to get people to watch it, because then you say to, you know, Warner Brothers, here, this is worthy of being on your streaming service instead of our exclusive, because even at this price point, this many people were watching. So,
and why Daly's Place was two weeks ago. They also were still showing things last week that were 3 weeks prior. So you're filming all of these things. Yes, Dark. Like you go to a Dynamite taping, there's ROH. You go to a Collision taping, there's ROH and Rampage. Rampage is actually ramping up, and I really like tacking it onto Collision rather than having it on its own.
I really like it too. Yeah.
Friday. We talked about if it was better for to do it on Wednesdays versus Saturdays, and that's where I think Rampage should exist, is on Saturdays. Because
I think so too, and I think that they should do something to make it feel, if it's going to stay its own separate thing instead of a 3-hour Collision, I think that they should do something to make it feel individual, because Collision and Dynamite feel different.
Right.
But Rampage very much feels like Dynamite. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know what they would do, but to give something to make it a different kind of vibe. Like you could make Rampage your developmental. Like you could, I think that would be okay. And I don't know. The AEW universe, like Dynamite is killing it, Collision is killing it, Rampage is killing it. But ROH is like, I don't know what we're doing. But let's get off of ROH, because we're slipping into mad hours, and I don't want to be mad or sad. I want to be happy. Yeah, Big Man Dogs, I agree. They might just need to make it a 3-hour Collision. Which I don't mind. Like, I don't think a 3-hour show on Saturday is as bad as a 3-hour show on a Wednesday. Because I think the big issue with Raw being 3 hours is it's a Monday. I don't know. I know that some people are against it, but like I don't have the business sense to be like, okay, the population of AEW fans as a whole would appreciate this or would think of it this way.
Sure.
I just don't know. But I do know that for me personally, at least, the 3-hour Collision is just fine. Because if you think about it, Saturday football, right? That's multiple hours. Like people have no problem watching that much TV on a weekend.
Well, did you see what Dana White is? That's the UFC guy that he said that all WWE PLEs are going to be on Sundays now.
Yeah, I did see that because UFC is keeping Saturday, which I expected when the TKO merger happened that UFC would be the more powerful part of this merger because they make money, but also Dana White is so powerful, like in the sports world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they would overpower WWE, especially because Vince McMahon, I think, was swindled. And I don't want to talk about Vince McMahon, but I do think Dana White, but I hate that UFC gets Saturday because one, I don't like UFC, I don't like Dana White, and it's a company full of freaks. And WWE on a Sunday is just like, it's so much better on a Saturday. Like Saturday is the best time. And I think, I don't know. It's just bad.
Like, it's my same feeling with AEW. Like when they have Saturday pay-per-views, it feels like a bigger deal to me. But I understand big earmarker ones like the Double or Nothings, like the all outs and all ins, where that Saturday can be utilized for fan experience, doing like pre-show things, or like with AEW, you do have Collision now, so it is getting that extra fun. It's the extra money. It's the last chance saloon right before your big event. It gives fans opportunities to fly in to experience the camaraderie it is to go to these big shows. But it is so exhausting for people that are our age who typically have, Monday through Friday jobs. Mm-hmm. You're up until after midnight on a Sunday evening, because at least for me, I live on the West Coast, so a lot of those feeds start at like 3 p.m. and they end at like 9 p.m. But that's like a majority of your day is dedicated to this thing. So I have to do all of my errands. I have to do all the things either in the morning or the day before. And it's not that that's difficult. It's just, it's just, it's just adjusting your schedule, knowing that I'm going to be tired the days following. And it also, if they're trying to market towards children, the likelihood of trying to get kids into, pay-per-views and all these things, it's on a school night. So then there's the extra factor of, do you market it more towards adults or do you market it more towards kids? But I guess with school ending, nobody cares. So
Bigman Dog says UFC does pay-per-view, not subscription. UFC pay-per-views are expensive, so it's a harder sell. UFC pay-per-views also sell extremely well. They do a ton of buys. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. Frantic World says, do you not like MMA or just UFC? Just the UFC. I don't support that company. Mike says, well, WWE Sunday shows should be 3-hour shows. I agree. If WWE pay-per-views could be limited to 3 hours or less, then like Sunday is better, but it's still, for the East Coast, that's still taking you to like 10 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. Which, to Collins' point, for kids, that's late. And for like a lot of working people who get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's late. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, sure, they could watch it back later. Or they could watch some of it, watch the next day, whatever. But it's like, if you want to make your pay-per-views a spectacle and make them like can't miss the way that UFC pay-per-views are, right? Then you need to do, there's something has to give, because you can't just do WWE pay-per-views on Sunday and be like, you're just going to have to stay up and suck it up, when UFC, I don't know UFC viewers compared to WWE. I have no idea. Mm-hmm. But like, I think that you could switch. Like you could do WWE on Saturday, one UFC on Sunday. Next time UFC gets Saturday. Like you could figure it out, because like if you're TKO, wouldn't you want both of these things to do like equally well? Mm-hmm. And I think WWE fans being mad at the Sunday show is not just them being dramatic. I think it's people genuinely know that they're not going to be able to watch these things live,
right?
And like, it's on Peacock. You could watch it after, whatever. But Like, what if I want to watch it live and like have a party and have a good time with my friends and like,
right.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of pay-per-views on Sundays.
If they're going to be on Sundays, I think that instead of having, so trying to translate time in my brain. So for me, the pre-shows, which don't even count for anything, usually start at 3 and shows start at 4, which is 7 p.m. Eastern time. Have them start earlier. What if they started at 5 p.m. Eastern time?
Yeah. Or you could even, because like, if you think about Sunday in the US, right? Mm-hmm. Most people are done with church or whatever, like brunch by like noon.
Yeah.
So, like you could make an afternoon thing, like Sunday afternoon football is a thing. We're just sitting here like trying to work our way around.
I'm just also thinking like, okay, so when people are going to shows, right, you want people to be in the building because buying the pay-per-views or streaming the things, those numbers really aren't reported of how many people subscribe to Peacock or whatever. Those numbers really aren't reported like they used to with, pay-per-view buys. But a lot of people don't live close to the venues that are going to the shows, right? So you're driving an hour in, you're finding parking, you're getting the food, all the things, you're taking your family of 5. And then it takes you always so long to get out of the parking lots, right? Going to the Now Arena at Hoffman Estates took like an hour and a half to go a half a mile, right? To get out of those parking lots. And by the time you get home, it's already been almost 2 hours after your pay-per-view. You're putting down your kids for bed. You're getting things ready for the next day. You're pouring yourself into bed after midnight. It is exhausting. It is a lot of money to take your family. And, I get the emails from AEW and WWE where they're bundling prices and, it's a discount if you buy 4 tickets and all these things. And it's like, okay, you want me to bring my kids, you want me to bring my family, but this is it a family time is my thing. And I think Jamie Lee Curtis on a red carpet once said, why can't we have matinee shows? I want to be in bed at a reasonable hour.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's not to say like that every WWE pay-per-view, if it's on a Sunday, should be at like 2 p.m. Because like WrestleMania is like the big ones are different, but like I don't know. Frantic World says, so will AEW move all their pay-per-views back to Saturday nights? No. I don't know. I don't think so. I think AEW is like, that's what they want. And I don't think we'll ever be in a position where an AEW pay-per-view will run up against the WWE one.
No, historically, it hasn't been. I mean, for the last 4 years, we have not had that as an experience, right? I mean,
yeah, we've had AEW and WWE TV up against each other for various reasons. But I think when it comes to pay-per-views, WWE announces their schedule really early, and AEW has gotten in that spot too, announcing really early. So I don't think we'll ever have an issue. And if we do, it was like when AEW realized that, I think it was Full Gear ran up against UFC. They just moved it to a different day. They didn't move it to Saturday instead of Sunday or what have you. Yeah, and like to Mike's point, Double or Nothing will be at least 5 hours. But like the thing about AEW pay-per-views is they don't have as many of them. And like 5 hours to me is excessive. Like I'm 100% agree. But it's not, it's AEW pay-per-views, like you wait a long time for them. Like you're not doing it every month, if that makes sense. Like not every AEW pay-per-view is 5 hours. But yeah, the UFC WWE thing, I don't know where that relationship is going to end up, but it does feel like UFC has more power, I guess, more authority than the WWE.
Right.
And like, whatever. I don't really like, these are two companies that at the end of the day, not my faves. So,
I mean, in the next 2 weeks, right? In 2 weeks, King and Queen of the Ring are going to be in Saudi Arabia on the 25th. So that's the day before Double or Nothing. I feel like this is the first time that they've been on separate days. But at least for me, with those Saudi Arabia shows, they're more afternoonish, right? on a day. I don't watch the Saudi Arabia shows usually, but I feel like that's the first time that these are going to be competing, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, like, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like we were talking about ratings earlier. Like, I really don't care all that much about pay-per-view buys or, like, business decisions. Like, I'm not a business person, and I'm not going to pretend to be. And, like, ultimately, I just enjoy the actual wrestling. So, all that being said, I think we should start winding down and wrapping up.
2 hours.
Because, like, I'm steering us back before this reaches 3 hours. But Colin, do you have any, final thoughts or remarks or what have you?
I'm so excited this Wednesday going to Dynamite because Dynamite has not been in my area since last January, which Samoa Joe was your TNT champion, right? Last January. Yeah, because I had blue hair. I had blue in my hair. Yeah. Okay, so that was last January. Samoa Joe was your TNT champion, and then Darby got the TNT champion. That seems like a lifetime ago.
It really does.
And then they were here in October, which also seems like a lifetime ago. I'm just very excited to go to a show. I'm gonna try to not buy as much things while I was at the show, because when I went to Wrestle Dream, I was like, I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna buy this and I'm gonna buy stickers and all the things, because you go to a show and you want all the things, and now I'm like, okay, I need to pace myself, because I'm going to enjoy the wrestles. I'm gonna see some friends. It's gonna be a good time. I'm excited to see wrestling live. I love watching wrestling live. And I don't think anything is happening this week, but we are building towards things that I am very excited about. So, yeah. What about you, Kiley?
I'm really excited for the summer, because I think a lot of promotions. I think a lot of promotions are building up for a strong summer. And I'm super excited because I think AEW historically has a really strong summer, but I love that New Japan and TNA and WWE. I just love that wrestling is thriving. I guess that's my final thought. I love that wrestling feels cool again, and I love that more people, like people in my life, who aren't wrestling fans, are asking me about things that they see, like on TMZ or like on social media or whatever. I love that, because it means wrestling is getting hot again. And so I'm really excited about that. And I guess that's my closing remark. Like, wrestling is cool again. Like, it's not the goofy child WWE thing. And like Maria Graciela says, a lot of excellent things coming from all promotions. Like, there's things I don't like in AEW. There's things I don't like in New Japan. But like, I think as a whole, I think every promotion is putting forth the best at what they're good at. Yeah. And I think that nobody's trying to be anybody else. Nobody's trying to, try to appeal to anybody else's audience. I think we're in a point where WWE, AEW, New Japan, All Japan, every promotion feels different, but they're all doing the best version of wrestling in like their own specific genre of wrestling, which I really love. Because it means you get more variety. It means fans get more, and it means that you get to kind of experiment and try different flavors of wrestling and those kind of things. So that's what I'm excited for. And I think the summer is going to be a good place where we see that really blossom. Yeah,
I agree. I'm excited. I'm excited, and I'm excited for talking with wrestling with you every Sunday right here on Fightful Overbooked.
Do you want to do your plugs, and then I'll do the big plug?
Sure. You can find me here on Sundays, and then you can find me over at OLE Podcasts every Thursday talking about Ring of Honor. It is sometimes fun, and sometimes I cry. I also cry here. So I just like to keep it consistent. I've also been streaming more. So go follow me on the Twitter. Go follow me on other social media. You'll find out when I'm streaming. I'll probably be streaming tonight. So if you want to come watch, play The Sims, we can talk about wrestling. We can bump gums. You know, it's a saying. Bump gums. And we can just have a good old time. I'm trying to get better at things. So the more input that I get, the better every show is going to be. So yeah, I'm just around. It's @_queer auntie on most, if not all, social media. So go find me there. I usually have a little link tree, and I'll always post the latest episodes so that you can be on the replay crew. Remember to like, share, and subscribe if you want to see more content. And if you have things that you want us to talk about on a Sunday, send us a little message, because we want to know what makes you cry about wrestling.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter @Kiley Wrestling. I talk about wrestling. I also talk about video games that I'm into, because I'm healing my inner child. So if you're into any of that stuff, I try my best to live tweet shows that I watch. I don't always, but I do my best. I do my best. Sometimes I forget. It's okay.
That's okay.
This is Fightful Overbooked. There's a lot of really great shows on Fightful Overbooked featuring me and Collins and Maggie and Rob on Coexisting with Mag and Robbie. Mag and Robbie. Rob and Maggie. My goodness. There's In the Weeds. There's FMC. There's so many other. There's like wrestling and non-wrestling stuff. So go look at the playlist. Go find something for you. This is Wrestling Made Me Cry, a show where we talk about the positive things of wrestling for the week. This is our 9th episode. So we did a little episode 9 refresh with a new background, a new thumbnail format. So let us know what you guys think about that. If you like this better than the orange that we had before, let us know. Because I want to try to give us a refresh every 2 months or so, every 8 episodes, and, really keep up with our vibes and make it feel unique. So
I like it.
I like it too. I wanted to keep because on our last one we had the paint splatters, so I wanted to keep them, and I thought it'd be cute if we did the colorful background with the white, and then our names in white, this cloud font that our names are in down there. I kind of like it. And then with the thumbnail format, I wanted it to be a quick, you could look at the thumbnail and immediately know what we're going to talk about. So
it's cute.
I changed up some stuff. So let me know what you guys think about that. We'll be live next Sunday at noon, same as always, to talk the road to Double or Nothing, to talk anything that happens in wrestling and whatever you guys want to talk about. It was such a good episode today. We really took some twists and some turns. And the Blockbuster poll is going great.
Yeah, it is. It looks like, do we want to look at the
Yeah, let's get a final count before we get off air.
Someone did want to remind me in a DM that you could also rent games there. So that's why a lot of people went. So 123 votes, 93% have said yes, and 7% have said no.
I have 127 votes with 94% saying yes, 6% saying no. So I just got a little refreshed.
Okay.
I'm a few votes ahead.
All right, people. All right, we got refreshments.
Yeah, people think I did from the equivalent in Ireland. I rented from both, or from what we had in my place. So go vote in the poll. I need to know. Maria Graciela says this format is better. I like it a lot too. I think it's cute. All that being said, Dexter Morgan just popped up in the chat. Hi, Dexter. I did nothing wrong. Please don't kill me. That's our sign that it's time to go. Okay. We'll be live next Sunday at noon, same as always, to talk wrestling with you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us, for your super chats, for your good conversation, and just for being cool people. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.